Hello Capricorn, I'm Ulrich, I'm a Lenormand card reader, and today we will do the philosophical spiritual card reading for the sign of Capricorn for the month of March. As always, we will do 4 card readings for the sign of Capricorn, and these are based on the natural elements in your astrological chart, or for some of you, on your time of birth. These basic elements are air, earth, water, and fire. Now, the 4 objects that you always see on my table are directly connected to those elements. So you choose, or you pick one that you think relates most to your personality, or you choose one you feel most comfortable with. This object of your choice, it should or it will relate the best to your current situation. However, if the object and the related video does not match your first choice, please check the other videos that are immediately connected in the same session. I'm sure one of the 4 will fit you. Anyway, the matches represent the fire element, the stone represents the earth element, the aerosol spray represents the air element, and the shell represents the water element. Also, I want to add, if you have questions, you can always post them in the comments below, and of course, as soon as I have time, I will answer. So Capricorn, here we go for your philosophical spiritual card reading for the month of March. Hello Capricorn, and welcome to the shell or the water group for your philosophical spiritual card reading for the month of March. As your first card here, we see the card of having fun. What does this card tell us? Well, it tells us that we need to have more fun. Obvious here, this is what we are seeing here. But the best way to achieve certain happiness or intentional happiness is it of course that you surround yourself with things that are positive, that you like in your mind. Also, that sometimes it is that we are thinking about the good old days. It can also it can also help us for thinking in a positive way. Anyway, here we should connect to the sounds, smells, tastes, textures, flavors. Anyway, we should go back in ourselves and think about our inner child and maybe our childhood. Sometimes we have very good periods in our childhood that reminds us of better days. Anyway, here we can also do something spontaneous, frivolous, something out of the ordinary. But the important thing is here that you look for the child inside yourself. And maybe you should talk to the child. It's still there somewhere deep inside yourself. But sometimes it are also easy things. We can watch a comedy for other people. It will be some shopping for some men. It will be trying out a new car for some women, trying out a new dress. It all depends here what you like here. It's simple things of life, whatever makes you happy here. You could also do some dancing, some singing, whatever makes you happy as a child here. The question here with this card, or what this card tells us here, is break away from conventions, routines, do something original, be creative here. This is the intention of this card, and try to readjust your mind in more happiness or happy thoughts. This is what we are seeing here. Anyway, we should relax here, meditation with this card. We should have fun, embrace some sweet madness here. Whatever makes you happy here, it's time to recharge yourself here. As you see here, the child's on the merry-go-round. The next card that we are seeing here is that we maybe need to let things in the hands of our deity, of our God, or our spirituality, whatever applies on you here. For most people, it might be hard to understand that there is something above us here, but there, as we know, we don't came out of thin air. Maybe this perception might be incorrect here, and we must be aware that there is something above us here, whatever you call it, the godly, the spiritual. There is something above us here that protects us, and you could see it also like a universal protection here that is above us. But here we see that this universal protection, or this God, is or whatever it applies on you here, it has a plan here for protecting you in the future. Sometimes we develop a very strong ego in our life. An ego is developed. We are a child. We learn several things. We have different factors that are that are making us who we are, our parents, our social circumstances, our education. This all shapes us or creates us in the person that we are right now. And sometimes our ego or this personality that we have developed, it has a hard time here to let go here and to understand here that there's a kind of universe here that protects us. Anyway, here we see that you might have a hard time to believing here that you are protected from something above you, but this card tells you exactly the opposite. You need to have faith that there is something above you. So here we need to go, as the first card, we need to find ourselves back here. We need to go inside ourselves and ask this spirit to reassure you. So here we should calm our ego. We should start to feel this inner strength that is within us. Anyway, we should stop worrying also, because this is also the card about worries, and you should reconnect with your inner child. And if you can, or if you have the ability, also connect to something higher above us, to your God, to your spirituality, whatever applies on you. The next card that we are seeing here is the card of truth. What does this card tell us? Well, it tells us that probably for the moment, we don't feel very safe. We don't feel very secure. It's like certain truths are withheld from us, or we cannot see certain truths in the world. And sometimes it could make your life a little bit complicated, maybe tiring also. It's possible here also with this card, we don't feel really authentic. It's like we are, we could feel common, mainstream. This is what we are seeing here. It's possible here with this card, again, as the two previous cards, that our ego is taking over our higher mind. This is what we are seeing here. And you should see this. Sometimes it's easy. We just look in the mirror and we see who we are, but it starts which is the same with ourselves here. Sometimes here, this card asks you if you weren't afraid, and then you complete the sentences. And you do this several times a day, and mostly if you say, if I wasn't afraid, and then you finish the sentences, and you do this several times a day, sometimes an answer comes up that you did not foresee before. Here we see that we could discover certain truths about ourselves here, and we should accept these truths. We need to accept, and we need to be ready for our own answers. But here we see that probably the truth is hidden behind certain fears that you developed through the years. Once you recognize that the truth is inside yourself, sometimes we don't need to go look outside for it. Once you realize that this truth is inside yourself, you will see that you feel more free. Maybe there's a kind of lack of freedom here. This is what we are seeing here. Anyway, sometimes also this points that our ego, it's like we're going in circles and we are trapped in a vicious circle, and it's very hard to get out of here. But here this card tells us here, if you really want to get out of there, you need to develop a certain desire here, and you need to desire to find out the truth of your inner self. And if you find yourself back, you will find more power there and more inspiration. Sometimes this points to this card to a lack of creativity and a lack of inspiration. And also, if we don't have those, we cannot find the truth also. So here we should find those things back in our life. Maybe they are somewhere deep inside ourselves hidden, but I'm sure they're still there. Anyway, Capricorn, this is all for the shell or the water group. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this short philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check the other three that are immediately connected here. I'm sure one of the four will fit you. If you have interest in more earthly card readings, you can check out the financial philosophical card readings, and of course the work business card readings that I do with the classic Lenormand cards. Anyway, Capricorn, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for subscribing, and see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to the Aerosol or the air group for your philosophical spiritual card reading. As your first card here, we see that it might be time to rebel a little bit in our life. Sometimes we need to get out of the ordinary and rebel a little bit around us here. We all develop an ego during our life. This is our self-esteem or our self-image. This is developed since we were a child, and we encounter certain things in our life. We have the influence of our parents, our social environment, our education. This all shapes us in who we are. And sometimes here, it might be that your ego, it has taken control over your life. But here we see that actually, if we think about it, we are not accountable to anyone except to your higher self. And here sometimes we could be too conventional, too strict, too authoritarian, too strict to follow certain rules. And maybe it's time to let go of certain rules. Maybe they're obsolete. Maybe they are no longer applicable. We live in a different society now. If we look around us, if we compare the world to 2 years ago, a lot of things are changed. So maybe it's time here we make some adjustments and we rebel a little bit. It's possible that your inner world is still ruled by these old world, and it's actually controlling our spirit, our higher selves. So, and here sometimes also it could make us a little bit scared or fear for freeing ourselves from the past. But sometimes these pasts are ghosts, and sometimes these ghosts can be scary here. And maybe there's certain times you want to take actions, but it's like if you want to take certain actions, it's like you feel a kind of disapproval coming from your ego, and your ego says no, you cannot. And you could feel a little bit threatened here also. This is what we are seeing here. But here we need to see that we need to apply our higher mind, go deeper in ourselves. And if you do so, you will see that these rules are shrinking away from the human dimension that they have taken for you. These authority figures are actually ordinary people who maybe you have turned into giants that are not really existence. They are ghosts, and maybe these ghosts are, for some reason, are making you scared. Maybe these people have also big egos, but here we are urged to see the things in a different way. We need to have a kind of forgiveness and look over it here. These past symbols of authority that might pop up in your current life, they no longer have any form of authority over you or power. But sometimes we see them back in other people, but actually they don't control you. If you go in your deeper self, you are the one. If you meditate or if you are calm, you will see that you are the one who has a certain inner power. And actually, as I said earlier, we only need to declare accountability to ourselves, to our higher self, or to your spirituality, or to your God, and to your personal truth. Anyway, the point is with this card is, what is your personal truth? Maybe we need to find our personal truth back and not following the rules blind. But we need to go in ourselves and see what is our personal truth, what is the deeper truth. We should listen to our mind here and not follow the stream. It's not because everybody jumps in the water, you should jump behind them. Here we need to see that we need to listen to our deeper mind, and we should be a little bit fearless and not, because this is actually the supreme authority. Your deeper mind is the supreme authority, and not the rules that are around you or people who try to suppress rules upon you. The real authority is inside yourself. The next card that we are seeing here is the card that maybe we lost a little bit who we are. It's possible that if we are around us, we could literally come always in the same conversations. We could also sometimes catch ourselves that we communicate always in the same way. It's like our ego telling to us always the same blah, blah. And sometimes we literally hear ourselves talking always the same sentences. And here it's like, sometimes it points to a lack of inspiration, what we are seeing here. Sometimes it means we ourselves are getting tired of the same monotonous routines that we have. Maybe also we experience some kind of rejection around us. It might also be a kind of insecurity, or maybe even in another way, you might find some boredom around you, and maybe you want something else. Maybe if you come home in the evening and you worked again a very hard day, long day, and you come home, it's time that you think in yourself, it's time I find something else. Maybe you're tired, there's lack of inspiration here. What is possible with this card? And it's possible that we cannot longer connect with our deeper selves. Sometimes we have the feeling that we are living outside ourselves and we are thinking, is this really me? Or is this somebody else? And this is the development of the ego, the self-esteem, our self-image that took the place in the doorway, and there's no room for anything else anymore. And here this card tells us, here you see the ghost house here, and it's like we're living in a ghost. And here we see here that it's time to find your deeper self back. You need to bring your spirit home. You could do this by starting a pleasant atmosphere. Sometimes it means also that maybe our home environment is already for a long time the same. Maybe we should brighten it up a little bit in the months to come. Maybe we should paint it a little bit, change the curtains, do some things here for giving your house a different look. If there is some darkness in your home, if your home is a bit chaotic or it's a long time the same, it's time maybe to make some changes here. Here we need to see here our spirit, our higher selves. It wants to live in a nice environment. It's a higher self and you need to accommodate it. It's like the guest in a hotel. And if you are going to a hotel and you don't feel welcome there, or you don't feel like you are in a good environment there, you will not go back a second time. And this is the same with our higher self. So here we should maybe clean our house a little bit, get rid of old junk. Maybe our house is a little bit out of order. Maybe it's dusty. Here we see that maybe that's one of the reasons we cannot find peace. It's like we cannot come home. So if this is the case for you, clean up your house, get rid of old junk, organize your home a little bit here, bring some flowers in the home, make whatever, or if you do some nice things to your home that make you feel comfortable. Just think about it. If you don't know how to apply in your house, just check out some things on the internet for making your house more nice in your own personal style that brighten your mind a little bit up. This is what we are seeing here. We need to see here with this card that we come in a clean, tidy, nice environment. So here we should make our home a place worthy for ourselves and for our higher mind. And if you will see that you will find some pieces of yourself back. It's like you light a candle in the dark. And here we are asked to come back home. And you will see if you do so, you make these changes and you sit in your living room there and you relax after these changes, and you will know if you feel more inspired, and then you know you have successful changed your environment. And you will see this works in every sense of the word. Sometimes for some people, if they need to make some changes, because these are the cards of changes, maybe we are in a very conventional, traditional way, maybe we are a little bit trapped. And here we see that we are, this card tells us to take small steps to make these changes. It's not possible for everybody to make big adjustments all in the same time. For some people, this need to go slow. It's possible if you need to make certain changes in your life, and what I mentioned earlier, that it might intimidate you. This might be all seem too much for you. Maybe you think this is not for me. But again, here we see, excuse me, that this is actually a ploy of our ego discouraging us for make the changes in our life. You could see these things as a challenge here. And maybe for some people here, it's better to make a kind of plan. Capricorn likes plans. He likes planning in the future, and maybe this is the good thing here for you. Maybe you need to develop a plan here and make these changes in small baby steps, like the penguin here, and every day you change a little bit, or you change a little bit at a slow. every room at a certain pace, not too fast, so you can adjust your mind to it. Here, sometimes also with this card, if we have set certain goals in our life, or we did not set certain goals in our life, we need to make certain realistic goals. This can also apply on your work front, but if it is on your home environment also, you need to, this card tells us, make your goals realistic. Try to change in small steps here, one at a time. Do daily one room, or do daily some changes that you see there is change in your home. When you come home from your work in the evening and you say, yeah, I see there are changes now, but you are not shocked by it. This might be the good thing to do here with this card. So if you need to, also on the work front, if you want to achieve certain goals, also sometimes it tells us that we need to become more physically active. This is what we are seeing here. This could be that you maybe need to work out more. We need a new environment here, not only in our house, but maybe also we need to dust ourselves a little bit. This is what we are seeing here with this card. Maybe we need to apply some changes on our person also. We can change our house, but we also, mostly if we change our house, also ourselves, we change a little bit. Anyway, here we see that, for instance, sometimes also this card is about changing jobs. So if you want to change your jobs, or you have set this as a goal for yourself, start writing down what you like. If you are bored in your current job and you don't want it no more for this, for the coming months, write down what you like. If you don't know how to start, ask a friend to help you set up some goals to achieve your new set goals. Also, sometimes we need to update our resume here. And when these are finished here, you have already achieved something. If you are unable to set up these goals, do it step by step. This is what we are seeing here. But it might be that you are in a board pattern. This is the group of penguins here. And here you see, you distinguish yourself. You start leaving the group. And something, it means this card that something is changing inside yourself. So we need to take distance from the group, or we will take distance from the groups for setting other goals in our life. This is what we are seeing here. But mostly for people, some people, they need to break this in pieces. So do this one step at a time. This is what this card tells us here. Maybe this group is slow, and we need to accomplish this in a slow, modest, gradual way. This card tells us, mostly this card tells us not to force it. Forget about big transformations in one day. It doesn't mean that you cannot change your house. Of course you can, but you better do it in small steps. This is what we are seeing here. It's possible if you would change everything, that you come home and that you say, yeah, I cannot live here anymore because this is not me anymore. So that's why sometimes this card tells us here that we could feel threatened. This is our ego. Our ego can feel threatened because maybe we are long time conditioned. And if we need to make all these changes at once, we could feel threatened. It's like we are coming somewhere that we don't recognize anymore. So here this card tells us to introduce small, subtle changes every day till you achieve your goal. This could be on your home, this could be in your work environment, but if you do so, you will see that you are able to reach your goal in probably less time than you think. So Capricorn, this is all for the Aerosol or the air group for this month. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this short philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check the other three that are immediately connected here. I'm sure one of the four will fit you. If you have interest in more earthly card readings, we do also financial, philosophical card readings. And of course, we do the work, business card readings with the classic Lenormand card readings. These are very much down to earth. Anyway, Capricorn, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for subscribing, and we see each other next time. Bye-bye, Capricorn. Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to the Stone or the Earth group for your philosophical card reading, spiritual card reading for the month of March. As your first card here, this card tells us, if you asks us if we still see the light. This is what we are seeing here. Sometimes with this card here, we get a false sense of separation with this card. Sometimes here we have withdrawn ourselves with the flow of life. It's like we are living more inside ourselves. And maybe here it's time to come back out again. Sometimes here also, this could mean that we have distant ourselves from people for certain reasons. Maybe there are reasons why you distant yourself, but you need to ask yourself if these reasons are valid. Maybe this gives you a sense of separation, isolation, and maybe this is not the right path to go. Anyway, sometimes here we need to go within ourselves and think about or meditate why we acted this way. Sometimes in older days, for instance, the Indian tribes, they call this the evil eye. And sometimes with this card, if we have this card upon us, we cannot see the beauty in things anymore. Even if flowers that are blossoming nice, we cannot see it anymore. It's like we cannot see with this card sometimes the beauty of things in our life. And sometimes this card is quite cruel. This card tells us sometimes that we have taken ourselves distance. Some people might think here that they are worse than people, that they are not, that they don't have enough self-worth. Sometimes it's the opposite. They tell us, this card tells us that we are superior than others. Also, this card can tell us that you might feel incompetent, but it might not be. Or maybe you feel superior. So you need to see here, there could be also a feeling of indifference here. Sometimes this card also points about jealousy. This is a quite direct card that we are seeing here. We could also feel a little bit angry or insecure with this card. Anyway, this all points that this is not really you. There's a kind of self-image that you created with for yourself here. This is your self-esteem, the personality that you develop, your ego, but it's actually a false self-image that we have created. And it deviates actually very much from who you really are. So here we need to actually go back to the source. This is what we are seeing here. We see a lot of things in our life probably that don't make us happy. We see a lot of reflections, mirroring here for things that we don't like. It's possible if you feel inferior, you are not accepting certain strengths that are within you. And maybe you act in a certain way and it could make other people react to you in not the way that you expected. In another way, if you feel superior here, it could mean that you have a kind of dishonor towards others. And also, there is something inside ourselves and it's like we have no more respect to what is deeper inside ourselves. In any case, this points that you as a person are in pain. So sometimes people can act in different ways when they feel pain. I don't mean physical pain, I mean a spiritual pain here. Now, every person in life, it gives us sometimes a reflection from ourselves. This is what we are seeing here. If we feel inferior, well, then we don't value our own qualities. This is what we are seeing here. And also we cannot see beauty anymore with this card. If we feel superior, you deprive yourselves of many gifts in life. Anyway, this is about the evil eye. Maybe you need to get rid of it. It's time to get rid of this evil eye attitude here. And here we need to find out exactly what makes us feel isolated. Also, we need to find back the divine in ourselves. That's the first thing to do here. And the challenges there are challenges probably put upon you here. These challenges could be certain weaknesses that we have, and we could no longer be able to see the light. This is what we are seeing here. So free yourself from your current condition. This is what this card tells us, and try to find your inner spirit back here and try to put on a different pair of glasses. The glasses is the way we see the world. For instance, if we see the world in a certain perspective, so it means that's the glasses where we look through. But if we change the glasses and change our point of view, sometimes we can see the world in a different way. The next card is the card that tells us we are not afraid. So here it's related to the other card next. So probably there are some fears inside of you here. It's possible that you don't show that, but that there are always a kind of fear inside of you. Maybe there's a lot of things around you that you fear in life, but this card tells you there is actually no reason to be afraid. So think about your current condition, this card tells us, and ask yourself, am I really afraid? And if so, what am I afraid of? And you let this question sink. You ask it several times a day, but probably you will be surprised that the answer that you find inside yourself is that you're actually not at all. You're not afraid. You just make it a belief of yourself that you should be or that you are afraid. But here we see that our mind is actually ready to take the next step. And your mind, your higher mind, it wants to take the lead. It wants to bring you in a different position. Here it tells us that we should get rid of the habit of being afraid of everything. Here we need to see that we need to go back, become more adventurous in our life. Like we need to find certain adventures in our life here. We need to trust our mind and smile at our fears. Here this card tells us there are no big monsters waiting in the corner ready to jump on our back, as you might imagine. Here we see that they are rather shadows of the past, of a past long time ago, and they are projected on the wall of your imagination. Mostly they are born out of weaknesses, or you were in weak conditions at that way, and they reflect themselves now. And it's like our ego, it's trying to hide up our real self. This is what we are seeing here. So stop getting rid of the habit of being afraid and dive in new adventures. You see here, we see Goliath and the giant here, and the giant will be stroked down because with the stone here that David has. So we see here we should not be afraid. Even with small adjustments, we can bring the giant down. This is what we are seeing here. Stop having fears here and appreciate the fact and recognize that you are actually not scared at all, and that you see merely shadows of the past. The next card that we are seeing here, this is quite a strict card reading that we are having here. Here we see that with this card, that again here, this is the card of pain that we are seeing here. It's possible that you are no longer proud on your achievement here, or your ego don't allow you to have a certain pride here, and it causes you an inner pain here. And maybe there is some damage in our life that comes always back to us. Maybe you see that you are in a certain circle of life, and if you think about it, you see certain things that are damaging maybe yourself, and this is not the first time that this situation appears over and over again. Here we see that our ego, not we ourselves, not our deeper selves, but our ego, our self-esteem, has some way of bringing us always in a kind of trouble. And we could be very distant here of people. Here we see the same as with the first card. There could be certain rejections here that we are seeing here. We could be angry. There we could feel also a sadness here. And maybe here we spread this out towards others. Sometimes also this means that we could be quite harsh towards other people, and you might bring damage to other people's mind. It doesn't mean because you hurt other people, you don't hurt yourself, because you do. This is what we are seeing here. And here we need to see that we need to master the situation in a different way to make things right. Here we are asked, has your ego caused pain to others in recent weeks? You need to ask yourself this question. Sometimes also it means that we feel violently. Sometimes it's possible also that we literally verbally attacked somebody, or we physically attacked somebody in order to protect ourselves. Maybe there's some fears in ourselves out of our childhood, and after we execute this anger or these problems that we cause to other people, it's possible that you come out in a messy situation. And it's like something is bubbling up of you and you are confused. You come in a mess of emotions and annoyances, and we need to find a way to get out of there. Here, sometimes also it means that probably we have been careless, and it's possible that you turned somebody's world literally upside down, or maybe several people around you. Maybe some people, because you were harsh to them, they lost their confidence. And here we are asked to set this thing right. Here, like most criminals do, we should go back to this, the crime scene here, and we should level ourselves to a different level. We need to change our spiritual levels here and set things right. If you think that you hurt certain people, or maybe you know who did you hurt, maybe you have disappointed them, upset them, maybe it's time to reconnect and try to fix this situation. Maybe we should ask or offer our help here in fixing things. Here, this card tells us don't let things hang, because this card tells also that you may be able to fix it, but you will need to be prepared to make certain amends and for the damage that you have caused. So Capricorn, this was quite a strict reading that we had here for the Stone Group. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check the other 3 that are connected here. I'm sure one of the 4 will fit you. If you have interest in if you have interest in more earthly card readings, you can always check out the financial philosophical card readings, and of course the work business card readings that I do for your sign each month. Anyway, Capricorn, I want to thank you for your time you spend on my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and see you next time. Bye bye for now, Capricorn. Hello Capricorn, and welcome to the matches or the fire group for your spiritual card reading for the month of March. As your first card here, it tells us that we should have more fun in life. It's possible that our life spirit, it feels a little bit dampened. This is what we are seeing here. It could be that we are not in an easy period of our life. Maybe we see the world as a little bit darker. Maybe there are some negativities around us, but this is all your ego speaking, your self-esteem. The ego is something that we build up. We are born as a child. We have the factors of our environment, our parents, our education. It all shapes us, all the conditions in our life that we experience, it shapes us into who we are. And sometimes our ego, the self-esteem that we build up, it don't let us see the world in a positive way anymore. It's possible here that we have lack of happiness here. And here this card tells us we should surround ourselves here with more light. We should surround ourselves with more positive things, positive feed. And here we should think how to get more fun in our life. Sometimes we can do this if we had good periods in our life before, maybe out of your childhood. Just try to remind yourself of the good old days. They are in the past, but sometimes they can help us to get back on the right track. Maybe if you go somewhere, we see here the fair, the merry-go-round, maybe certain sounds, certain smells, think about them, certain tastes, textures, flavors, you have forgotten about them, and maybe it's time to remember yourselves about them. Maybe it could be certain music, something that makes you remind of your child or your inner child. This is what we are seeing here with this card. Anyway, this card urges us to find the child inside ourselves back. Maybe we have hidden it somewhere, but we need to find it back here. Sometimes it can be easy as watching a comedy. Maybe you have a movie that always makes you smile. It could be an old movie, but maybe it's back to get it back out, put it back in the video player or in your CD player or whatever, or watch it on the internet. And sometimes also For some people, it could mean that it's a long time since they have done some shopping. Maybe it's time to get out, do some shopping. If you don't have the money for buying, just do some window shopping. Just see here, maybe there's some things in the mall that remind you on the past. For some people, it could be that they try out a new car, not necessarily buying it, but just for giving you a sense. Maybe it reminds you of something. Sometimes it means that we simply try on a hat or sunglasses. We try a new handbag, anything here. It could also having a picnic with yourself in your living room, whatever it is. Just break away here from certain conventions. It could be that your life is too routine with this card. And here we are asked to do something original that made us stick in the past. We need to find our child back. This is what we are seeing here. It's possible that our ego is threatened by frivolities, but we cannot be too strict. We cannot always be the workhorse. We cannot always run in certain structures. Sometimes we need to break out of there. And here we are urged to ask some fun and find the path of joy and amusement back here. So this card asks you to be frivolous, relax also. Sometimes this card tells us we might be overstressed and we have a lot of energy and we don't know how to channel this energy. You should find back here a way to release your energy and go a little bit mad in a positive way. And you will see, you will find recharging. Because I see here, there's not a lack of energy. It's just we need to channel our energy in a certain way. Because the next card that we are having here is a very energetic card, and the last card also. It tells us that maybe it's time to blow some steam off. And maybe this is why we have the first card here. Maybe we need to find a pleasant way to blow some steam off, because this card tells us to take it easy. It's possible if some people come too close to you and you feel threatened in a way, your reaction from yourself, we are sometimes surprised by our own reaction. This can be in two ways, or you turn away from it, you run, or you attack. And it's like here with this card, our adrenaline is sparked. We are ready to fight and we act in the attack mode or in the flee mode. Sometimes here, it's possible that our body is overwhelmed by certain hormones. This is what we are seeing here. And there's a kind of fear from something in our life. Here we see the bear. The bear is the card of territory. The bear also dominates. They can be overbearing, and maybe there's a kind of energy. These two cards are very energetic. Sometimes also it tells us maybe you catch yourself in making, maybe in general you are quite slow to make decisions, but if you observe yourself now, it could be that you make quite rash decisions for now. And sometimes also it could mean that as we think that we put people on their place, but sometimes also we say this in a certain way and we think after, and then you think then after, but I didn't mean it that way. I don't know where this is coming from. So here we have maybe drawn conclusions that are not based on facts. It could be based on a hormonal condition that we are in. So here we need to reconnect with ourselves. It's like we lost ourselves a little bit here. We need to make some adjustments in our behavior here. If you really feel the energy bubbling up in you, sometimes this is a good card for going to the gym, also for hitting a sandbag. Sometimes also we are angry, we need to shout, if you can do that here. But the point is here, we need to let this adrenaline go. This is what we are seeing here with this card. This is probably not an easy period in your life that you're going through, and some angers here we see popping up here. If you release your energy in a certain way, you need to find a way to release this energy, you will see that you calm down. But if you feel in this anger mood, try to distance yourself from other people a little bit. Don't make hasty decisions when you are upset. Also, don't pick up the phone because you already know what you're going to answer, because you will feel maybe a little bit disturbed. If you receive certain emails and you already see they are annoying you, don't reply to them. Just wait for a day if you are able to do that. Anyway, here we need to wait to act, and we need to see things more in a clear way before we act. when you have controlled this fear more and you are more relaxed, you will see that your higher mind will kick in. But we need to be careful sometimes with this card not to literally attack people. This could be physically, but also mentally. So be careful here with this card, because this is a very energetic card. If you have plans for running the marathon, this is a very good card for that. But if you cannot execute your energy in kind of a way, it might be a difficult card here. So here we are asked to unload our frustrations, our anger, and do this in a neutral place or in a place where it's appropriate. Also, you need to get this anxiety and stress under control. You need to recognize that it's inside of you, because else you will block your mind and maybe you hurt yourself. This is possible also. This is sometimes the card that we have so much energy, we don't know what to do with it, and that we indeliberately hurt ourselves. So be careful here. Try to find a safe way here to unwind here, and you need to diffuse this energy and take a very good look at this situation. You need to find some way to diffuse it all, because it's a very energetic card that we are having here. The next card also, it's the card that advises us not to make problems. If certain people in your life here make remarks, it probably displeases you. It's also possible, this card has another way also, that you misinterpret, because you're on a short fuse here. It's possible here that you misinterpret the intentions of certain people. Maybe they mean it in a different way. But if we are sometimes on a short fuse, or we are have a lot of energy, we cannot see it here. It's possible also you want to manage certain people here in a certain way, but as you observe them, you see that they don't cooperate, and it frustrates you. And you want to mark, the bear has a territory, and he wants to mark his territory, and the other one feels small. You see the mice and the bear here, and it's possible here that it frustrates you. You want to implement this might be with a force here, and this whole thing is irritating you, but it's our ego speaking here. And you have a hard time maybe because people don't cooperate with you. But you know what it is. Capricorn has experience in life. This is sometimes this is part of life. Anyway, you could have the feeling if it's not one thing that's going wrong, it's something else. So it's like things are not like usual and they don't fall at their place. Here we should stay neutral. We should observe ourselves. It's like we look ourselves through binoculars here. We look here, we take distance here, and we observe the events and ourselves here. And because things are not unfolding as you want them to be, and there's a why probably. Anyway, when you make this observation, you will realize that actually all these things don't matter. We need to just see that we get it out of under control, and we let to blow the steam off. And if you get rid of it, you should enjoy life more, as the first card says us here. Anyway, there are some disruptions here that you now encounter, but you should have fun. But we are in life, and sometimes it happens, these things, we have these periods. The trick here of this card is that we need to sail this rough sea that we are encountering here, and we need to have fun and humor, grace here, and because it's really disturbing your mind right now. But this card tells us also, if you let this steam off in a certain way, you can face these problems. And if you think about it, you will find a creative way to rechannel this energy. This is what we are seeing here. We need to rechannel this energy in our daily life. So we are urged here to be Capricorn again, stay calm, don't try to control also what's happening, but let the steam off. This is important now that we are seeing here. Also, don't enforce, don't act governmental, don't enforce on others, don't try to control. Take life as it is, try to let it go and enjoy life and its gifts. This is what we are said here. It's quite a strict reading that we are having here, but sometimes the cards can be a little bit harsh. So this is all for now, Capricorn. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this short philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check the other three that are immediately connected here. I'm sure one of the four will fit you. If you have interest in more earthly card readings, we do also the financial philosophical card readings, and of course the work business card readings that we do with the classic Lenormand. Anyway, Capricorn, I want to thank you for your time spent on my channel, and of course, thank you for subscribing. See you next time, Capricorn. Bye-bye for now.